Yes, job people, this is Michael Shamai representing. I will say, Hail the Lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread. The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes, wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Ras Tafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Ras Tafari.
Yeah, I read the autobiography of His Majesty.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went through that incident whereby I was in a vehicle and then, you know, span over and right off and.
Oh wow.
No, I just came out. I didn't get a scratch. You know.
Okay, give thanks.
Yeah, so I give thanks for that. You know, and so at that time, as that was happening, just like my life, I just was watching things in front of me. What? Okay. And then after that, I got a book from a veteran, the autobiography of His Imperial Majesty. You know, and from that time, yeah, I never cut my hair again.
Okay. What was it about the autobiography, or what was your impression? Because I can tell you, you know, every time I read that book, it's like I'm reading it for the first time. But what was your impression when you first picked up the autobiography?
That man is God.
The year is 1892, and the land of Ethiopia has been experiencing 4 years of terrible famine and drought. They call it the Kikuken, or the evil days. At least 1/3 of the human population and 90% of the cattle have died. The hyenas have feasted on so many carcasses that they have become overweight and barely able to move. Just when the people could take no more of the evil days, a woman named Wasiro Yeshimabet is giving birth in a place called Erjersa Gora. This is her 9th attempt to bring forth new life. Her previous 8 attempts only resulted in death. Will this child live? Thankfully, a healthy baby boy is born. His first cries are drowned by thunder and lightning flashes across the night sky. The heavens open up and torrential rain starts to fall. Ethiopia's drought is over, and the baby boy is given the name Tafari, meaning one to be feared or respected. Lich Tafari's father, Ras Makunin, is a very important man in 1892 Ethiopia. Although he is overjoyed at the birth of his newborn son, he cannot spend much time with him. Ras Makunin is the governor of Harar and must get back to the famous walled city to deal with its affairs. Furthermore, he is the foreign minister of Ethiopia, and having traveled to different places in Europe, he is very aware of the material and military advances they have made and the looming threats they pose to his country. Ras Makunin knows that the majority of Ethiopians have no idea what is coming, and that he has to work that much harder to secure the realm. Lich Tafari would grow up to become the legendary emperor, Haile Selassie I. To understand his journey, we must first understand the Ethiopia that he was inheriting, and what it was like when he was born in 1892. Get your copy of Kwesi Bansu's book, Haile Selassie I, Ethiopia, Volume 1, The Rise of the Priestly Warrior Kings, and increase your knowledge about the history, politics, and culture of Ethiopia in 1892, and how it connects to the rest of African and world history at the time. Haile Selassie I, Ethiopia, Volume 1 is available for purchase at www.bookmanexpress.pub. Please visit for more information.
As a young man, and you're saying you want to be Rastafari, when did it connect with you in terms of the actual theology, in terms of His Imperial Majesty? Was that something that was always there, or did that come later?
Well, I read the autobiography of His Majesty.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went through that incident whereby I was in a vehicle and then, you know, span over and right off and.
Oh wow.
No, I just came out. I didn't get a scratch.
Okay, give thanks.
Yeah, so
Power.
I give thanks for that, and so at that time, as that was happening, just like my life, I just was watching things in front and say, what? Okay, and then after that, I got a book from a brethren, the Autobiography of His Imperial Majesty. And from that time, yeah, I never cut my hair again.
Okay. What was it about the autobiography, or what was your impression? Because I can tell you, every time I read that book, it's like I'm reading it for the first time. But what was your impression when you first picked up the autobiography?
That man is God, and how there are men who are just extraordinary in what they do, and just using logics and science and evidence. You could look at a man, you could look at Marcus Garvey and say, well, and what Marcus Garvey did, no one can do that.
Yes.
Unless, you were significantly blessed, and you have that high level of commitment and discipline, and yet still you have that God spirit, that God manifestation, in you to manifest such levels of greatness. So when they say the greatest prophet, no one would argue about them. Who surpasses Marcus Garvey?
Yes.
So the works is there. So His Imperial Majesty. When you read the journey and you understand the liberation of Ethiopia and the rest of the world, that really showed me that, like, the man aspect of God, because here you are hearing all these like different aspects of some grand thing that
yes
do that and he does that and he write that, something, and then you really see, well, because if you searching for truth, because this is salvation,
yes
what I'm going to be basing my spiritual, my soul, my salvation on. So I was very critical.
Yes.
In examining the man and see the example that the man set as His Imperial Majesty and say, wow.
Yeah.
There is not one other man like that.
On the highest level.
Yeah.
We have to understand that on the highest level on earth,
So that's my personal journey, and it's not something I just really go into. It's precious.
Yeah. Give thanks to share that. And I want the family, we have 16 of I here, to appreciate love, because you don't usually hear the priests go into these details. This is Lion Voice. This is our home, as Rastafari. We are unapologetically Rastafari here, but we are highlighting excellence on this platform. So we're going to hear about the medical school in Cuba. We can take our time here because I want the youths them coming up to see their example. You don't have to run out on a stage, to embrace this liberty and mash up a show. That is great, and we give thanks for those who are doing that. But this is so broad, His Majesty live in the heart. One of the things that I love is that Prince Emmanuel said that man of right is God in flesh. That to I is so simple, but just so it encapsulate the Christ consciousness and everything. How did the Bobo Shanti part, connect with the I as a young imper?
Well, naturally growing up, I wasn't able to drink alcohol. In fact, I got into that incident because, I had my first car very young. I left college. I was teaching. I just take a loan, buy a car, right? And then I drank half of a Guinness. I sip about less than half of a Guinness because alcohol doesn't go with me. And that day I couldn't drive, so I let the sister I was with at that time drive the vehicle, and then we never reached home with the vehicle. We reached home, but the vehicle never reached home.
Okay.
So basically, growing up, I was always inclined towards that level of spirituality, and then to the tune that I got baptized at the age of 10 or so, 10, 11, as an Adventist on my own. My mother to sue the church.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always seek spirituality, you know.
So you leave the Vatican order and you went to seek the Adventist order, the sabbatical.
The sabbatical.
Okay.
You know, so then after that, when I grew my locks, you know, I went into the binky. I saw how it was, you know, and even at that time, while growing my kinky, I never exposed my dreads. My mother never seen my dreads. You know?
Yeah.
You know? Right? So from growing my dreads, I was never a man that exposed it. Like the order of King Emmanuel Charles Edward.
Yes.
Them could never conquer the mountains. Thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again unto the world. Now we are announcing. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. Ras Tafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. Well, solar energy that them a see. The whole city powered by the sun's energy. The road them make out of hemp and concrete. Neighborhoods full of fruit trees that taste sweet. The youths put down them guns, them harvest and a reap. The beautiful gardens will line every street. Tired of the bloodshed, them done with the beef. Not even animals feed them burn out the meat. Where people say Haile Selassie, I see Nile. When they see say him a treat the dirt like a child. Peace on earth from the banks of the Nile. That's why we giving thanks in style. See say Babylon a weapon, them a stockpile. Babylon a wicked, kill them brother and smile. Iron, Babylon a reptile. Them a plant fish, shed blood, we got plans for the soil.